Okay, here I am with update 11.5. Yay, a new event. Happy about that. That's awesome. It's gonna end, but that's cool. Gives us something to do. New Paladin Warframe. Seems decent. I would have done him differently as far as his powers go. I like his first two abilities more than his second two. I think his ultimate, I mean, it brings out health orbs and it's another smash all like all the other fucking ultimates out there, with the exception of, maybe a couple. I just kind of wish they would do something different with ultimates, and I'm going to get to that in a second. In my opinion, we've got plenty of ultimates that just own everything around you. So the difference in his is he's a paladin, so it helps drop health orbs. What fucking do? Anyways, I'm gonna try him out because that's cool. Now, okay, let me praise you on something. I was just on the forums about this yesterday, and I was a little behind on information. I'll admit about the new melee weapon, but I've been asking for a mace or dual maces for a long time, and I haven't even loaded in this new update yet. Let me just say that. Well, there's only two things I really want to talk about in it that I don't like. Everything I like about this update, with the um with the whatchamacallit, the exception of the frame updates. Now, Ember, this is okay. I I don't know. Overheat wasn't a bad ability, but I honestly don't know. I didn't have major problems with Ember, so I'm not sure what's going on here. But Accelerant affects all enemies in a radius to have knockback, plus it coats them in fire. So, okay, so that, I mean, that could be good, I guess. I'm not sure, to be honest. I'll have to try that out. But Valkyr. Okay, so you made paralysis not completely useless because it doesn't get rid of as much shields. That I don't even care because I mean, because yeah, it's an attempt to make the power better, but in the end, there are very few people that are going to do builds based off of something that destroys your shields because of the lack of regeneration from the only defensive buff that regenerates health. Once your shields are gone in this game, you're fucked. It doesn't matter how much health you have because it's so hard to recover health unless you're doing something that you're fighting so many enemies at once that the health orbs are just all over the place. Um, and yeah, you can use the mod that gives you health from energy orbs and energy from health orbs as well. There's things there's ways that you can mod your character, but it goes back to my same problem with Valkyr. I think Valkyr is a lot of fun, but her life regeneration now from Hysteria, still, what it does is it still makes her a one-trick pony, just like fucking Nova. Nova can do one thing: obliterate everything. There's not much real use for her other than that, because if you're not doing that, then why are you playing Nova? Because that's what she does. There's just not a lot of. I mean, let me take Rhino for example. You can do a Rhino Stomp build. It's not going to be as good as other characters, Smash All or anything, or whatever, but you can do it. Let me take Vauban for instance. Vauban is by far my favorite frame. He has so much utility. You can go damage with the Teslas, do a complete Tesla build. You can do a complete Vortex build or a complete Bastille build. I mean, yeah, you can do a bounce build too, I guess, but I mean, okay, bounce is, in my opinion, bounce is more fun than anything else because yeah, you could throw it down and watch the infested fly in the air when they're attacking and stuff like that in groups, and it helps, with crowd control. But you're much better off throwing down one Bastille and then just nuking everything. But whatever, that's another point. Either way, that's still by far my best frame. But the point is that he can play multiple roles. Valkyr, I mean, you hit your fourth ability and you go on a rampage and start killing a bunch of stuff really fast with your melee, but or you could just play as one of the caster frames, walk up, press 4, and everything dies instantly for the same amount of energy. I mean, let's weigh the. It's a good idea. Like I said earlier, I want different things done with ultimates. I like the idea that Ashes doesn't kill everything instantly, but it's still really awesome. I really like Ashes Ultimate. It's a lot of fun. But here's I don't even really use the Valkyrie that much. I do use Ember a little bit, so I'm gonna try this before. I mean, I run a World on Fire build, so I mean, I don't know. We'll just have to see, because right now this doesn't really affect me. But I'm gonna try it out before I touch on the Ember changes, because they could be good. I don't know. Saren. Everybody knows. Oh, everybody kept telling me on the forums. I have a thread about Saren right now. Everybody's telling me, "Oh, Saren's getting a rework tonight. Saren's getting a Saren did not get a rework. This is a load of horse shit, is what this is. This does not fix fucking Saren. Now, let me tell you something. There are so many people out there that are saying get rid of Contagion. Contagion is the main problem with Saren. But to all of those people, I say fuck you. I want another frame that is really good at melee. I want Saren's Contagion to be the focus of her rework, because damage over time of Venom is useless unless you now like buff the damage of that skill by crazy amounts. People would rather walk through and shoot things twice with a Soma or once with a Paris, or a fucking rocket or grenade launcher and kill 5 enemies at once, then attach something to them, then have to shoot that thing, and then run away while you watch it die. That is stupid, okay? In a game like this, I love the idea that you went for here. I really do. But it doesn't make sense. Venom, just... either it needs to be an AoE attack, it should be something you shoot out that does high damage over time. Like a lot. To where okay, to complement a melee build, how about you shoot Venom, and much like the lightning from Volt, his number 1 attack, how it arcs to other people, why can't it just quickly, in the animation, be like a stream of green that flows to the other characters and starts doing high damage over time, and then you jump in and do one melee slam attack, and you wipe a small group of enemies. That would make much more sense. When I'm fighting Corpus with my Volt, that's what I do. Boom, I shock everything. If it doesn't die, you jump in and do a slam attack on my Amphis, which also does electricity damage, and boom, everything's dead. It is comparable to other frames that can cast one-hit KOs, or other primary weapons that can just wax everything in one shot. I mean, I know this is a co-op game, and it doesn't need to be everything doesn't have to be perfectly balanced, and a lot of things are just going to be more fun than other things. But this just doesn't fix Saren. Okay, Molt. Increased health with fusion level. Great. That I wanted. Okay, that could make Molt a little more viable. But here's the problem. Since whatever fucking update it was, Molt no longer pulls aggro like it was supposed to. I can't tell you how many times I'm in the void, I'm getting just slammed on by those, now I can't remember their names, but the corrupted guys with the Somas. And then I pop my Molt and keep running, and I'm still getting shot. That is... what? Why? Molt should immediately pull all aggro to it. Immediately. Okay, so you don't want it to be... put it behind a corner and make them chase you around the corner because they immediately detect it. That's fine. But so many people have so many good ideas about what you could do with Molt. Like, for instance, Molt could shed off a status effect, okay? Like, if you're bleeding, bam, use Molt. Things like that. Those are great ideas of ways you can also increase it. But the number one thing that needs to be fixed about Molt is that it should always pull 100% of the aggro. That is the point of it. So, yeah, there's that. Also, no matter what color you change your energy to, Molt always comes out green. That's a little weird. All other powers, no matter what you do, when you change your energy color, it changes it. So I'm running around with the hot ass pink Saren, and then I shed my skin and it sheds green. It doesn't really make much sense. It should shed pink because that's what I am. But anyways, okay, miasma. This is the number one skill that I want to talk about ultimates again. They're miasma, yes, it's an effective skill until you get into really, really high level stuff. But what is the point? There's already 15 million frames that have an ultimate ability where you press 4 to win. You throw on flow, streamline, depending on the ability, maybe continuity or maybe fleeting expertise, depending on what kind of ability it is, and you press 4 to win. There's so many abilities out there. I have no problem with those abilities whatsoever. But I think Saren needs a complete... let's face it, there's not enough people playing Saren that you would upset enough of the community if you did this to... or enough people that would tell you no. This is one of those changes where a lot of people are going to say, no, don't do that. Get rid of Contagion, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. Developers, sometimes you gotta stand up for yourselves. Sometimes you gotta say, listen, I know you think that making Saren just like the other caster frames is a good idea, but that's not how we intended her. You intended her to be an in-your-face off-tank. She cannot do that right now. She can't. I'm sorry, but armor and health are shit until you fix mods like Rejuvenation to give more health back. Here's how to fix Rejuvenation. Make the health regen like 3 or 4 per second at least. Like, make it high health regen. Just don't make it affect the team, even though it's an aura mod. It's that easy. You could change the polarity of Saren to a defensive mod if it's not already. I honestly can't remember. I don't think she has the defensive polarity, but no, she does. She does have the defensive polarity. There's only 2 choices to raise your health, which is stupid because health orbs is the only way to really regain health unless you have, well, now a paladin or a trinity on your team. And health orbs are only in abundance when you're doing things that have large groups of enemies. When you're just playing around by yourself or with 1 or 2 friends and going through the planets, there's not really large groups of enemies. Compared to void missions and other endgame content and nightmare and things like that, and I haven't done a lot of the endgame content. I mostly just do voids and trying to, get new weapons and frames ranked up to 30, and just basically I'm waiting on more and more cores so I can level up my cards to make myself strong enough for endgame. But I do a lot of void and stuff like that. That's the only place there's really enough health orbs around, or orbs in general. So, anyways, I think we should change. Venom needs to go. It's just the way that it works. I'm sorry, it doesn't need to go. It needs to change how it works. It needs to work like Volt's Lightning, but with viral damage. Miasma needs to go. That needs to become a defensive ultimate. It needs to either be like, shoot, I don't care if it's spend 100 energy and she gets all of her health and shields back, but that's it, just once, and then she gets it back. I don't care if it's that she regenerates health. Okay, what about this? What about try something like a buff, okay? In the sense that a toggle, I should say, your first toggle buff. What if her ultimate ability is you toggle it on and she has increased health regeneration? Mix that with a boosted aura card of regeneration, and she's got a decent amount of health regen to complement her melee builds. Okay, and then boost the damage of Contagion. Contagion is very weak. Even with max flow, it's very weak. Also, the fact that you changed it all to viral damage instead of corrosive damage. The fact that in Damage 2.0, corrosive is no longer effective against machines. That was all a bad move. That was just a very bad move in general. I understand you're trying to one damage type hurts one faction. I understand you want to do that. Honestly, that's one of my biggest annoyances is having to have multiple loadouts depending on which faction I'm going to fight. I would much rather find the build that I like and be able to run it to do whatever I'm doing. I don't like having to change my build constantly based off of what I'm going to fight. And then the Void, you're fighting everything. I mean, for the most part, the Grineer are kind of a joke. If you shoot him in the head, it doesn't matter what kind of damage you do, you're going to kill him, which is nice. That I don't have to really have Grineer builds. But, and, Infested aren't terrible, but I mean, these are just some thoughts. I don't know. Saren's Miasma, that needs to be a defensive ultimate. Find a way to do it. I'm not gonna try to tell you how to do it. I mean, I honestly don't know, but there's got to be a way because right now a full-on melee build. We talked about Valkyrie, okay? Valkyrie can be a full-on melee character, but you have to stay in Hysteria to do it because of her lack of shields. And shields are everything in this game. It's shields, shields, shields. Once you lose your shields, you're fucked. I don't care if you're a Rhino or a Valkyrie or a Frost with 1,000 armor or whatever the fuck you get up to with a max steel fiber and all that other stuff, vigor and everything. No, sorry, vigor is shields and health, but you know what I'm saying. It doesn't matter how high you get your armor because it only affects vitality, and the ways in which you recover health are so minimal in this game that in my opinion that's useless. Your goal needs to be shields, shields, shields in this game. If you're relying on armor and using whatever it's like 15 points or whatever the max energy loadout is for a max steel fiber, like that's terrible. We need more ways to be able, with other than Rhino skin, to be able to melee. Right now, the ultimate way to melee is Rhino skin. Now, believe it or not, I use my Volt for Corpus in a melee build for the most part, with the Penta, but that's only because his number 1 ability is so strong. I don't even use his nuke ultimate because his one is strong enough that I can cast it once or twice and rough everything up. But I love the speed, to where I use the speed instead of worrying about boosting his armor. I don't even have a vitality mod equipped to him because I know once the shields are gone, he's done. So, there's so much room for where you can go with Saren to make her melee focused. And there may be a lot of people out of there saying, hey, just replace Contagion. Do the opposite. There are enough frames out there. There's no reason to have a caster that deals viral damage over time. It's just not viable in any situation. Unless you made that damage over time kill in 3 ticks, everything that it touches, there's no point. There just isn't. Use the viral aspect to make the frame make sense of things that spread. Hey, Venom spreads to other enemies and kills them, but kills them quick, Molt needs to actually attract aggro. Contagion needs a huge buff in damage. And Miasma needs to... I mean, another thing you could do is if you just boosted Contagion's damage a little bit, but made the virus have a stun property to him, it makes them quote-unquote sick or something, to where they either attack slower or stumble in some way, to where it had a CC effect, to where if you pop Contagion, running towards, the infested corpse, doesn't matter what you're fighting, if you run at it, you're slashing away with your weapon or beating, with your mace or whatever you're doing, and it is proccing them to stop hitting you, then it's still balanced. That I don't understand why you made the whole status chance thing with melee weapons. Like, the bow used to be amazing. Every time you hit with the bow, it would stun them no matter what. Charge attacks always knocked back. That is how it should... Why did you change that? Because it still makes you vulnerable to guns to do melee builds, so it does... The Infested is the only one that's really overpowered towards, and let's face it, the Infested are so fucking easy anyways, it's not that big of a deal. I don't get sometimes why you're making these changes. Like, my Amphis, or however you say it, has, lots of electricity chance. I have a max status chance mod, and it's still, I mean, my status chance in the max mod is still only like 20 something, 30 something percent or something like that. And so I'm hacking away at enemies, and unless I do my charge attack or my slam attack on the ground, I'm not guaranteed to really stun them. And I should be able to just stand in a group of enemies as they come at me in a wave, and bam, and just keep hitting, and electrifies them every single time. It should stun. It should. Because it doesn't change the fact that I'm getting shot by bullets everywhere else. If I'm fighting Corpus, it doesn't change the fact that I'm getting shot by, walkers and everything. I mean, the Corvus are very difficult because they take out your shield so quick. I mean, it doesn't make it overpowered because there's plenty of ranged enemies. I mean, you're fighting a bunch of Grineer, you're sitting there and you're, killing all the things that run in and attack you melee. You got your shield lancers coming in, they knock you down, and you got your bombarders or your napalm guys, blowing up while you're trying to melee in the thing. It's still difficult. It's not making it overpowered. Status chance on melee weapons is stupid. If it's a bow, the bow staff, that bow staff, take it back to how it was. It should be a CC weapon because without its CC qualities, it is completely fucking useless. The Amphis has charged electrical ends. There's no reason it should not be electrocuting every single time. I'm gonna stop now. You get what I'm saying. This is just my opinion, but take it or leave it. Let me know what you think.